If you've ever wondered how much power an event trailer can really have, then today we have the perfect example. The Manori 5 incident wasn't just fandom drama. It was the result of years of pattern recognition, player planning, and a system that encouraged people to read between the lines. And when that system failed, the consequences were very real. To understand why Manori 5 caused such an uproar, it's important to understand how the game structures its event announcements. Each month, the game holds a live stream where upcoming events are revealed in form of a trailer. However, they intentionally avoid revealing which character will be the focus of each event. That information is instead teased through an announcement 24 hours before it starts. Before getting into the trailer itself, there's one really important system the fandom relied on at the time: how players predicted who an event would focus on in the first place. Back then, the game did not confirm event-focused characters in advance. Instead, players had to piece things together based on patterns. One of the biggest indicators was simply who was due. Events follow a rotation system. Each character receives focus events in roughly a year after its last, and over time, players began tracking this very closely. By looking at which characters had already received their third or fourth focus, and which ones were still missing theirs, fans could make guesses about who was likely next. Because of this, entire spreadsheets existed in the JP fandom predicting future events. People would compare dates, rotations, and unit distributions to narrow down possibilities. When only one or two characters were left without a specific focus, expectations naturally locked onto them. At the time of the Manori 5 trailer, Haruka was one of the last characters still missing her fourth focus event. That alone already put her at the center of most predictions. For Japanese server players, these trailers are not just promotional material, they are planning tools. Unlike English server players who benefit and take advantage from being roughly a year behind and can prepare well in advance, Japanese players operate with limited information and very tight timelines. Tiering an event in Project SEKAI is not something you casually decide to do the day it starts. It requires saving resources, coordinating playtime, and in many cases, requesting days off from work or school ahead of time. This is why trailers matter so much. They're often the only clue players have. Over time, a visual language naturally formed around these trailers. Certain colors, imagery, and motifs became strongly associated with specific characters and units. This wasn't just fan speculation. It was a pattern reinforced by the game itself across multiple events held throughout the years. As a result, players became very good at predicting event focuses even before they were officially revealed. This is where the Manori 5 trailer enters the scene. When the trailer dropped, it was overwhelmingly blue. The atmosphere, the color palette, and even the presence of an airplane in the background immediately stood out. For longtime players, this combination was almost unmistakable, and airplanes are one of her most recognizable motifs. At the time, she was also one of the last characters still missing her fourth focus event. Everything lined up perfectly. For many fans, it didn't feel like a guess. It felt like confirmation. To put this into perspective, imagine how players would react in other situations. If a vivid Bad Squad trailer appeared drenched in deep blues and blacks, paired with piano and violin motifs, most players would instantly assume it was Toya's event. If a Wonderland's X Showtime trailer showed up bright yellow, filled with stars, stage lights, and exaggerated theatrical elements, no one would hesitate to label it a Tsukasa event. Likewise, a Night Court trailer dominated by pink tones, ribbons, and soft lighting would immediately be read as a Mizuki focus. These assumptions exist because the game itself taught players to make them. Haruka fans did what dedicated JP players always do. They began preparing. People requested time off from work, rearranged schedules, and finalized plans under the assumption that her fourth event was finally here. This isn't an exaggeration. This is standard practice for players who aim to tier seriously. The system relies on predictability, and the trailer appeared to provide exactly that. Then the event announcement day came. Instead of Haruka 4, it revealed Manori 5. Not only that, but it confirmed that the 5th focus rotation was continuing earlier than expected, with Manori kicking it off. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Haruka fans were understandably frustrated, having already made real-world arrangements based on what seemed like a reasonable assumption. At the same time, Manori fans were just as blindsided, suddenly realizing they had 24 hours to prepare for a major event centered on their favorite character. What made the situation worse was that there was no clear way anyone could have predicted this outcome. The trailer gave no obvious Manori-specific indicators, and there was no precedent for starting a new focus rotation in this way. Even the most prepared players found themselves scrambling. This wasn't a matter of poor planning, it was a matter of misleading communication. As backlash spread across the Japanese fandom, it became clear that the issue wasn't Manori herself. The frustration wasn't about who got the event, but about how the information was conveyed. The game had unintentionally trained players to read trailers as signals, then punished them for doing exactly that. In response, Colorful Palette made a significant change. From that point onward, event trailers would always end with the featured character's official image color, removing ambiguity entirely. This small addition fundamentally changed how players interact with trailers, ensuring that no one would have to gamble their time, money, or real-life commitments on visual interpretation alone again. Manori's 5th focus event incident stands as a turning point in the game's history. It highlights how deeply invested the player base is, how seriously players take event planning, and how something as seemingly simple as a color palette can carry enormous weight. More than anything, it shows that in a live service game, communication isn't just about hype, it's about respect for the time and effort players are willing to give. For years, we were encouraged to analyze colors, motifs, rotations, and who was due, because that was the only way to prepare for your favorite character's event. The system worked until it didn't. What makes this moment so important in the game's history is that it led to real, visible changes. After Manori 5, the game began clearly signaling event-focused characters through official image colors at the end of trailers, removing the guesswork and doubt entirely. And more recently, the game has taken things even further. A few months ago, they started releasing monthly posts that outline upcoming content release dates, and these posts now explicitly state which character each event will focus on. It's a small change on the surface, but for players who plan their time carefully, it makes a huge difference, and honestly, it's really nice to see. These updates show that the developers recognized the issue wasn't players overreacting or being unreasonable. When a game asks people to invest not just in-game resources, but real-life time, things like these become essential. It also highlights the gap between servers. English server players benefit from having advantage in a year-long gap, while Japanese server players are always navigating uncertainty in real time. Because you never know if after this event there will be another one that makes you wish you had tiered there. Looking back now, Manori 5 feels less like a controversy and more like a turning point. A moment where the game learned how deeply its community engages with the game and adjusted accordingly. People don't make spreadsheets, request days off, or plan months ahead for something they don't care about. Even more, when we are speaking of the most competitive and high cutoff server. So while the incident itself was frustrating and stressful, it ultimately shaped how events are communicated today. But anyways guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in next video.